Before we get started formally, I just want to say thank you to the Park Elementary students. You are so talented, and you saved the day this evening because people were late because of the weather, and you came in and saved the day and kept everyone just so enthused. And we are thankful to you. And on top of that, you're wonderful and you're talented. So thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. The December 17th, 2013 meeting of the Newark Board of Education is now called to order.
Good evening. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 1046 et sec, adequate notice to this meeting has been provided by advertising in the Star Ledger, El Nuevo Coquí, Haiti Progress, and Luz Americana newspapers, and by distribution to the administrative offices of the Newark Public Schools. A copy of the meeting notice was also forwarded to City Hall for posting. This is a regular advisory board meeting for Tuesday night, December 17, 2013.
Thank you. Please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. And thank you again, students. We will now have greetings. Oh, I'm sorry, ahead of myself. Roll call.
Mr. Hassan.
Present.
Mr. Kenny.
Here.
Mr. Lewis.
Here.
Ms. Matthias. Dr. McCreary.
Here.
Ms. Perella.
Here.
Mr. Rashidi. Chair Basketball Richardson.
Here.
Student Rep. Mr. Thomas.
Here.
Quorum is present, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We will now have greetings and student recognitions by Park Avenue Elementary School Principal Sylvia Estevez.
Good evening, Advisory Board Chair Baskerville Richardson, Vice Chair Lewis, Superintendent Anderson, Advisory Board members, district staff, students, and families. On behalf of Park Elementary, we are excited to host the Advisory Board meeting this evening. We have some really great things happening here at Park Elementary. Since our opening in 2009, Park Elementary students have achieved significant growth in reading and mathematics. Students' growth metrics have placed us amongst the highest achieving schools in Newark in terms of students' yearly growth measures in the area of reading. Our student enrollment has increased from approximately 600 students in 2009 to 841 students today. To support our efforts in increased student attendance, we have developed a new student attendance tracking system that allows teachers and administrators to monitor students' daily attendance, parent communications, tardiness, student communications, and medical excuses. The information is then discussed at our support school team meetings with an end goal of ensuring continued monitoring and ongoing communication between parents and child to make sure that students attend today and achieve tomorrow. With the help of our families, school staff, and our community partners, we will continue our charge of making sure our students are in an excellent school, as our students and their families deserve no less. Today we share with you a glimpse of our Park Elementary chorus that features students in grades 3 through 6. Our chorus has performed at a local senior citizen facility this year and more recently at Newark International Airport to bring cheer and merriment to the community. Newark Airport officials were so taken by the hard work of our students and of our teacher leader, Miss Ivy Wallace, that they've invited us back to kick off the Super Bowl week at Newark International Airport. Our vocal music teacher, Miss Ivy Wallace, has exemplified the qualities of a passionate and talented educator that employs excellent teaching practices in order to bring about student achievement in the arts. It is common to see Miss Wallace giving of herself after school and on Saturdays to ensure that students are ready to achieve. For the last 30 years, she has demonstrated commitment to doing what it takes to having students ready for success. I ask you to join me in celebrating Miss Wallace and the Park Elementary Chorus with a warm and heartfelt appreciation for the work that they do. Miss Wallace, we have a little plaque and flowers for you, so we could just give Miss Wallace and the chorus a really nice round of applause. They work so hard. Years is a lot of years of service. Ms. Merritt, thank you for including Park this year on your list of schools to host the board meetings. Chair Baskerville-Richardson and the school board, Superintendent Anderson, we also thank you for this opportunity. Again, welcome. We hope you have a productive meeting, and on behalf of Park Elementary, we wish you a very Merry Christmas and a healthy, happy, and prosperous New Year.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that wonderful message. We now move to item 5 on the agenda, which is the report of the advisory board chairperson. Greetings to our students, parents, community members, fellow board members, NPS staff, and Superintendent Anderson. Welcome to our board meeting, which is taking place at the beautiful Park Elementary School. And it is our wish that in the near future that all of our Newark public schools will get fixed up or new ones built so that all of the children in the city of Newark who attend the Newark public schools can benefit from an environment as beautiful as Park Elementary School. It's only been a short time since our last meeting due to the holidays, but I do have some news to share about what board members have been doing around town since our last meeting. Board member Rashan Hassan attended the WOW Student Showcase at Louise A. Spencer. Board member Altariq Kinney visited Dr. Horton Elementary School and Abington Avenue School regarding school facilities. And I believe, oh yes, and Mr. Kinney also attended Shabazz and Weequahic Championship Games. On Tuesday, yes, let's give them a hand, please. Let's give Shabazz and Weequahic a hand. On Tuesday, December 4th, I attended a meeting of the New Jersey Urban Debate League, and I also attended a board meeting of the Newark Trust for Education the following day. On Friday, December 6th, board members Daniqua Matias, Rashan Hassan, Ariana Perillo, and I attended a meeting of the Urban Boards Committee of the New Jersey School Board Association in Trenton. I'm sure that there is more, but this is just what I have, so this is just a glimpse of what board members have been doing over the last couple of weeks. And now, I would be more than remiss if I didn't address the sweeping changes that State District Superintendent Anderson proposes for the Newark Public Schools. And I feel that excuse me, I'd like to read my statement. I would like to get through my statement. Thank you. I was a teacher for many years, so I'll wait. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Excuse me, but we need to have order because this is a business meeting where we have to take care of the business of the board, and I would like to go through my statement. If you don't know yet, and some people do not, right now, as I speak, while the Board of Education meeting is going on, There are meetings going on at about 15 school sites in our city, and tomorrow there will be similar meetings in about 15 more school sites. At these meetings, concerned parents and community will learn, and are learning as I speak, the fate of their children's schools. Some will close, some will be sold to charter schools, some will be renewed, some will be redesigned, and some will be relocated, etc., etc.
Can we have order?
If you don't know yet, I'm sorry. I already read that paragraph. I apologize. No one can deny the need for change because education must always change to meet the evolving needs of a society. That's common sense. No one can deny that parents who once would have been the strongest proponents for quality education in traditional public schools have fled to charter schools in hopes of finding a solution to educating their children in an urban environment. No one can deny that the flight to charter schools, the lack of full funding, and the long-term neglect by the state of New Jersey of Newark Public Schools facilities have resulted in the dilemma we face today. The dilemma is which way forward for the Newark Public Schools. The solutions that have been presented to us under the banner of One Newark are what parents, teachers, administrators, alumni associations, board members, elected officials, and all concerned community are pondering today. The problem here is that the process is corrupt. Thank you. One cannot possibly act in the best interest of children and simultaneously display disdain for public input into significant changes in the education of the children of the public. Display of disdain is demonstrated in using the narrowest definition of community stakeholders, such as select groups of clergy or select groups of funders, and having conversations with them and sharing information with them, but not with the parents and grandparents and alumni and teachers and administrators and community members who work with and mentor our children every day. And then documenting in reports and presentations that there has been community participation in the process. I have spent the last few days, I have had very little sleep. I have spent the last few days talking to people all over the Newark community, and none of the people that I talked to were consulted on this. Maybe I'm traveling in the wrong circles. But we see that over and over again, information is not shared until plans are finished, and there's nothing to do but see which wheel will squeak the loudest and then oil them, which groups will push back the hardest, and then pull back from them. As I said, I spent the last few days in honest conversation with concerned citizens who believe that they are under attack, that war on traditional neighborhood public schools has been declared. But I don't believe that we have to go to war. I believe that we can call a truce, and I believe that we can fix this. I know I believe this because I believe in Newark, and I believe in the concept of one Newark, but one Newark cannot be imported or imposed. It is indigenous, it is organic, it cannot be based on failed models from New Orleans or anywhere else. It must respect the people. It must respect the people because it must come from the people. And who are the people? Despite all of the problems that have been imposed upon this city, there are people here who are ready to tackle the issue on how to best educate children in their city. We have people who have degrees. We have people who are thoughtful. We have people who are caring. We have people who have great management skills, who are professional, who are great business people, and who graduated from the Newark Public Schools, and not all in the past. Some who graduated not so long ago are doing very, very well. We must have a process that respects all of the people. On behalf of a majority of the Newark Board of Education, I only say a majority because I haven't had the opportunity to speak to all board members, so I would never say that I speak on behalf of the entire board unless I had had the time for all of those conversations. So I will say on behalf of a majority of the Newark Board of Education, I'm calling for an halt to the implementation. I am calling Can we have order, please? I am calling for a reconsideration of all school closing, sales, renews, further co-locations, redesigns, et cetera, until all of the citizens of Newark are given their rightful opportunity to consider the facts and a myriad of possibilities. And I am requesting that a process be implemented so that there is an education convention held in this town, sponsored by the Newark Public Schools, where parents and grandparents and educators and experts and students from traditional, public, and charter can examine data from varying sources, and experts of varying philosophies can talk to the people, where the people can examine multiple and varying models of success, where the people of Newark will experience a democratic process of true and meaningful participation in the choice of models and options and programs for their children. I am not, and I appreciate the applause, but I'm not giving this speech for that reason. I'm giving this speech because we have a lot to consider, and our children are at stake, and we do not wish to be at war. In closing, on behalf of the entire board, and yes, I'm switching over now to close, I wish everyone a safe and happy holiday season. We look forward to approaching the new year with renewed resolve, vigor, and dedication to the children of Newark. Thank you. We will now move on in our agenda to item 6, Parent Recognition, the Constituent Services Committee. Chair Kenny.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I would like to first, before I start, I'd like to recognize 2 schools who made it to the finals. One school I attended, my mother's graduate in 1967. I'm a graduate in 1995. My brother's a graduate in 1993. I'd like to recognize Weequahic High School. orange and brown hat, I was going to wear it, but got to keep it professional. I'd also like to recognize, for another thing, Fahim Ellis, who is the principal at Weequahic High School, who's also a graduate of Weequahic High School in 1995, who came back home and was able to lead his school to an undefeated season, one of the first undefeated seasons in our district in years, who was able to do some great things academic-wise as well, who halved the failure rate in the Newark Public School at Weequahic High School, who increased the number of students attending school, who was able to recruit students to stay an hour after school, 60 students to stay after school to make sure they take HESPA exams. This is the type of model that we hope that the district follow, where you have young people who graduate from our district come back and lead our district, and Fahim is a bright example of that model. In the city of Newark, you can't say Weequahic without saying Shabazz High School. I'd like to also recognize Malcolm X Shabazz for having a wonderful season. Even though they were blown out by Weequahic 27-0. So I'd like to recognize both Coach Grant and Jamar Mills, again, who were able to do some wonderful things academic-wise with the school, and they've done some amazing things. I'd like to talk about our people that we want to recognize. In our Constituent Services Committee, each day throughout this district, there are parents who are making huge differences in our schools by volunteering and supporting their children's academic success. The Newark Public Schools Advisory Board, the Newark Public Schools Board and the Constituent Services Committee wishes to recognize these parents who are making a difference in the lives of our students. This parent recognition program, which began in 2004, will continue to shine the spotlight on those who support the district's 6-point family engagement model, which consists of parenting, communicating, volunteering, learning at home, decision-making, and community involvement. Tonight's Parent Recognition Award recipients are Carmen Ortiz from Abington Avenue School. Give her a round of applause. Our next person is Yamerco Severo from Dr. Willie H. Horton School. And from Barringer Academy of STEAM, Gloria Hahn. Let's give these parents a round of applause for going above and beyond, not only for their students, but the people that attend their schools. And that completes my communication board.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
Madam Chair, that was 27-0. I just wanted to make sure I emphasize that. It was 27-0, and there was the last point. Every year, the annual Turkey Bowl is packed with Southside, Shabazz, and Weequahic High School students. And for us who live in the city of Newark, that's our opportunity to meet old friends and reconnect with family. And for us to consider the tradition of Weequahic and Malcolm X Shabazz, that school, that building means so much to so many people in the South Ward and the state of New Jersey. So I will hope in 2019, 2020, we're able to do what we did in 2013 and 2014, keep this thing going, make sure that Jamar Mills and also Fahim Ellis are able to do what they're doing now and do it at greater scales.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. We will now move to item 7, report of the student representative, Jordan Thomas. Mr. Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The month of December has proved to be an essential and effective month in promoting student engagement and determining several integral high school leaders within the district. During the month of December, Collaboration between several constituents of the district and me has helped to establish a group of core leaders that could ultimately fulfill the role of a student leadership group that meets monthly to discuss critical issues plaguing the district, to provide student input, and to develop solutions to the identified problems. The meeting that was held earlier this month included approximately 20 representatives from the majority of the high schools in the district and had a theme focused primarily on change within the district. Upon convening, students were asked to collectively list what they considered to be the 5 most important issues currently troubling the district, which, after voting and coming to a consensus, they determined to be college and career preparation, district budget allocation, student responsibility, the negative perception surrounding Newark Public Schools, and student safety. Surely, these are issues that we are all well acquainted with and have worked toward resolving in the past. Thus, we challenge these students to aid the efforts of the district by constructing a plan of action for each respective issue that addressed what could be done by individual students within a school, the school as a whole, and finally, the district. Essentially, the meeting was a critical step in forming an enthusiastic group of student leaders that could work closely with me as well as others, and that have already proven their ability to tackle district concerns. A follow-up meeting among those that helped coordinate the initial meeting has already been held to decide what steps must be taken before the next meeting, and the much appreciated suggestions of Superintendent Anderson and additional students have already been taken into consideration. With this newly formed student leader group, it is my hope that we have armed ourselves with yet another tool on the pathway to an excellent Newark Public Schools system. That concludes my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Does anyone have any question or comments for Mr. Thomas at this time, board members? Thank you. We will now move to item 8 on our agenda, report of the State District Superintendent.
Given that the projection screen is behind us, I would ask if board members wouldn't mind watching the projection from the front row, and there are a couple of members of our team that are part of the presentation. I would ask you to join me on the stage, please. Good evening. First, I want to thank Park Elementary for hosting us and for the beautiful performance by the students. I don't know if Principal Estevez is still here, but thank you. We deeply appreciate the prelude, and thank you so much for your leadership. I also want to acknowledge both the report of the board chairperson and our student representative. We have indeed had a good number of conversations regarding some of the challenges and proposals we're facing, and it is just a beginning. We have a lot more to do to have conversations so that we can proceed, and so I appreciate and respect deeply the chair's comments, as well as Mr. Thomas, who has assisted us in gathering some additional students for a conversation. I am going to cover tonight several items, and a few are statutorily required, so please bear with us as we get through all of it. We want to make sure that we are informing the public, but also that we're meeting the very important mandates that we all take very seriously so that we can continue to gain our CUSAC points, and these things are important as we proceed through the meeting. So please bear with us. Our presentation is a little bit longer this evening. I would like to begin with A definition, I think some people may know this, but the vision of One Newark is to ensure that all students in Newark are in excellent schools and thriving communities and are on the path to excel in college and a 21st century career. I would ask that you please allow us to go through our presentation so that we may meet our statutory requirements. I would define excellent schools. I would please ask that you allow us to proceed with the meeting so that we may meet our statutory requirements. I would define excellent schools and thriving communities are critical, and what we are talking about is how we proceed towards that day. We have discussed in various settings the notion of excellence and equity and efficiency, and I want to make sure we define those for those individuals in the room who are wanting to engage in dialogue. Excellence, we would define by being schools that everyone would want to put their young person in. Equity, making sure that each ward and all students have access to those excellent schools. And efficiency being critical to discuss with regard to facilities and funding and other important items. One challenge we face.
Excuse me, Madam Superintendent. That's right, because here is the point. The point is that we do have public participation. The point is that what we are looking for as we return to local control of our schools is that we are looking to be the best that we can be, and we are looking to be the best examples that we can be for our children and for the community who watch our meetings on television and who really have no other way of getting this information. So what I would ask of you is that you please allow the superintendent to finish her presentation so that people who are hearing this for the first time will have the opportunity to get the information. I am not going to argue back and forth. I am going to ask you to please respect the process and allow the superintendent to finish the presentation. Thank you. Please allow people to hear the information. Thank you. I am not saying that I disagree with you. What I am asking you to do is to allow the superintendent to finish the presentation.
I will attempt to try to communicate with those who would like to hear. Another challenge that we're facing as far as the district has to do with something mentioned at the outset of this presentation, which has to do with declining enrollment in Newark Public Schools. This information is available for those who are interested on our website, where those who are seeking other options are actually making other choices. The financial challenges that we face as a result are significant.
Excuse me, Madam Superintendent. This is actually the last warning. If the superintendent is not going to be allowed to make the presentation, then we will have to skip this part of the agenda. And I know that there are people here. There are people here who do want to have the information, so please respect those people and respect the people who are watching at home. We understand, I understand that people are angry and that people are frustrated, but I do know that there are people who want to hear the information, so this is actually going to be the last request to please allow the information to be heard.
Madam Chair,
excuse me, I really do not want, it is not what I like to do is to ask security to have anyone leave. That is not what I desire. But I do believe that there are people here who want to hear the information. So if that is what we are forced to do, then that is what will have to happen. But I do not, under any circumstances, want to do that. So I am asking to please allow the superintendent to finish the presentation for the benefit of the people who want to hear the information. Thank you.
Continuing with some of the challenges that we're facing. Madam Chair has raised, and we agree with some of the extreme facilities issues that are present, and we also must address those. We have 7 main objectives that we're looking to accomplish, some of which we've made tremendous progress and some of which we have miles to go. We aim to implement a common accountability framework in accordance with...
Cassandra, could you please not disrupt the meeting? Cassandra, could you please not disrupt the meeting? Excuse me, ma'am, would you please not yell out during the meeting? Thank you. Thank you very much.
So the 7 goals that we have articulated for One Newark include a common accountability framework. Every school in NPS and every public charter had a meeting to review
Please Please respect the people who want to hear the information. Please respect the people who are watching this on television. Board members, could we please return to our seats? I'd like to ask all board members to return to their seats, please. Excuse me. At this time, yes. May I, do I need a motion to, okay. Okay, at this time we will move to item 9 on the agenda. Board members. We have 5 board members seated.
1, 2.
Madam Chair, are we going to continue with the agenda, because people need to know what's going on. So
Mr. Kenny,
I don't know why we're stopping.
No, Mr. Kenny, we are stopping because people are unable, the people who want to hear are unable to hear. We are going to move on the agenda, and then we will come back to the section of the agenda. So right now, yes.
Madam Chair, if I could briefly interject before we actually go into agenda item number 9. I neglected to mention earlier that our student representative, Mr. Jordan Thomas, received acceptance into Princeton University yesterday.
Mr. Thomas, is Princeton your first choice? All right. Thank you, Mr. Kenny. We will now move to item 9 on the agenda. Item 9.
Okay.
University High School. Ms. Jackson, please have a seat. You made me break the rules, and I responded to you. At this time,
Madam Chair,
if we could all, yes.
before we move on to the
Kenny.
next one, we have to vote on moving the agenda item around, correct?
I think we're just going to move on, Mr. Kennedy. We can just move on. We'll get to that if we go back to that.
Because many people may get the rest of the presentation, may be leaving, you know,
I'm
so I
sorry?
don't, I don't know when we're going to finish this, because this is really critically important.
Okay, so
and that's why I want to stress it, because folks may be leaving. They came in the snow to find out what's going on, so they should know what was going on in the
Would
district.
you like to make a motion then to amend the agenda? It's fine.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Chair, if you're willing to entertain that motion, I move that we amend the current agenda so that the presentation can be conducted immediately after the votes.
No. Madam Chair, that's not what I'm saying. We need to continue that as stated in the board minutes, because again, people came out in the cold to find out what's happening in the school district, and this is a lengthy deck, and there's a lot of questions that are coming up about the future of NPS. So we need to find out what's going on now. It may be an uncomfortable conversation to have. It may be a lot of feedback that we may not be prepared to have, but unfortunately, people need to hear what's going on.
Mr. Kenny, I agree with you, but Mr. Kenny, the issue is not the length of the deck or the importance. The issue is the ability of people to hear. So at this point, we're going to move on to the voting items, and I'm willing to entertain a motion to amend the agenda. So, Mr. Hassan, you've made a motion to amend the agenda and to place. You've made a motion to amend the agenda?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, and can you say specifically what that?
I move
specific?
to amend the current agenda as it stands so that we can now go into voting items and immediately following the voting continue with the report that was being presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so this is a motion to move the item number 8 till after the voting items. Moved by Mr. Hassan, second by Mr. Lewis. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? That motion carries.
I'm going to ask
On to the
people
votes.
to please not yell out during the meeting. We will now move to item 9 on the agenda. Item 9 is our voting items. We first have the voting item on academic services resolution for approval of in-state, out-of-state field trips.
Move it.
Mr. Lewis,
Second, Hassan.
second by Mr. Hassan. This is a vote to approve the academic services items. Moved by Lewis, second by Hassan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Academic services item approved.
Madam Chair, I move to now cast our votes for the finance and operation items. I move that these items be voted in one block unless there are any unless there's any unreadiness on the behalf of other board members.
I apologize, Mr. Hassan. I thought we still needed to vote for the moving of the agenda items. No?
We did.
We did that.
We did that.
Table. He said 1 second.
No, it doesn't have to be a roll call vote.
We voted to move the items around, if that's what you're asking. We did do that. We did. I have in the records.
We did vote.
We did.
If,
Yeah, and then we all voted. Right? We all voted. We're fine. So there's a motion pending by Mr. Hassan to take the finance items as a package. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Perello. This is a motion to take the finance items as a package. Moved by Hassan, second by Perello. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Okay.
okay, and now may we entertain a motion to actually vote on those items?
Madam Chair, I move that we now actually cast our votes for those items.
Mr. Hassan,
Second.
second by Mr. Lewis.
Are there any, before we vote, are there any questions by any board member?
Ladies and gentlemen, the board's trying to conduct business.
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, this is a meeting of the board in the public. This is not a public hearing. This is a meeting of the board in the public. Anyone who has signed up for public participation will have the opportunity to say whatever it is that they need to say. At this time, We have to complete the business of the board, and I'm going to ask everyone not to yell out.
Can we proceed? Board has business to do. We have a motion to approve the finance items. Moved by Hassan, second by Lewis. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Finance items approved. All right, now you're back to line. Back to.
That wasn't what the motion was. I hear, excuse me, if I may explain the process. The items that the board has voted on, we have had in our hands for a couple of weeks. We have had committee meetings. We had a business meeting last week. Board members have the opportunity to review all of the materials, to ask questions, to get answers to their questions, to discuss it at the business meeting. Many times there are questions at the voting meeting, but when there are not, is because the board members have asked their questions, gotten answers, and are satisfied and come in with a readiness to vote. It is not that the board members are just looking at a group of items and just passing them with no thought. That is not what is happening. So I just want to clarify for the public what the process is. Excuse me, we are at a point in the meeting where it is necessary, according to law and what we must do, for the report of the superintendent to be made. So we are again asking your cooperation in allowing that process to take place. And there are reports that must be made within that process, within that report, that we are mandated by law to complete at this particular meeting. So if you can indulge me and allow those reports to be made, then we will move forward following immediately with public participation. Thank you. Madam Superintendent? No, I'm just going to move to the side.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Excuse me. Go ahead. Go ahead. Continuing with the 7 areas that we were discussing, the Common Accountability Framework, each family has had a meeting, Newark Public Schools and Charter Public Schools, with the same methodology this year. Each school hosted a meeting this fall to ensure that families know where the schools are in terms of the quality of the building as well as the performance of students. These are important ways of exchanging information, as the chair indicated. Our universal enrollment system, we had 80% of our charter public schools sign on voluntarily to participate in this process. This will help ensure equity of access for students to all schools. We must fix our crumbling school buildings, which we also believe are a tremendous problem for this community and one that we are prepared to fight to break the red tape so that all students are in facilities much like this one. We must advocate for policies that will allow us to consider quality as we make decisions about right sizing in our workforce. We must support Newarkers who may be impacted by district transitions. We understand that we are the 2nd largest employer in Newark, and we understand that as we move forward to right-size the district, that will impact Newark families, and we must have a plan to support them. We believe that is right and just. We must ensure there are excellent schools in every ward. in every ward, and that no vacant buildings stand in any ward, because not only is that bad for schools, but it's very bad for communities. And we must grow our capacity to innovate and to provide diverse student options so that every kid, regardless of their needs, can access an excellent school. As we set forward with looking ward by ward to put forth proposals that we do intend to discuss at length with members of the community, with families, with teachers, and with other stakeholders in that order, and we do deeply respect that families are our first and most important group of stakeholders, which is why we are deeply committed to ensuring that we dialogue with families. We looked at 7 main questions. The quality of our buildings. How do we make sure there's a plan for every building? Having buildings vacated in stand-in communities is unacceptable. How do we invest money so that our best facilities are actually brought to the 21st century? How many early childhood classrooms do we currently have? We looked at the conditions for oversight and engagement and access. We looked at how many we need to consolidate into single standalone early childhood sites, because we know that 3- and 4-year-olds need something quite unique, and we want to make sure their environments are matched to their needs. We looked at how many K-8 schools the district can sustain based on what is about 18,000 families seeking other options currently. And we looked at how Newark Public Schools can compete, because we believe we can compete. We looked at the options for high school students. We looked at making sure that we not only have great offerings, but that we do preserve the great institutions of this city that we know mean so much to this community. We looked at how to ensure that every neighborhood, has an excellent offering, and we wanted to make sure that we knew if there were buildings that were beyond repair and things that could not be fixed, that we had the courage to have those conversations so that we might invest those resources in the buildings that we are going to keep. Each of these ward-by-ward plans is being shared first and foremost with principals who are impacted by some of the ideas, with faculty, and with families. And it is true that circle is broadening. We have a commitment to ensure that we continue that dialogue, because we believe that it is a conversation that must be had, which is why it's so important that we remain in conversation as opposed to cutting one another off and not having a conversation. An important fact to be known is something that will impact everyone this year, regardless of the portfolio proposals, which is a huge step forward for all kids and their access, is universal enrollment, called One Newark Enrolls. We want to make sure that folks in the community are aware of several key deadlines. On January 6th, the application opens. On January 11th, there will be several fairs throughout the city. Many of these materials you can receive online. There are guides and other online and paper resources being printed as we speak. The application closes on the 14th, and in April, families are notified. It is important to know that for families who are happy with their current choices, there's no need to do anything. This process is for entering new students at pre-K or kindergarten, students who are transitioning to particular grades at 5th grade and 9th grade, and any family who is not happy with their current school. Anyone who does not need to follow this process. It is simply at the transition grades, the entry grades, and for any family who is unhappy with their current choice. In the event that there are choices available anywhere in Newark and a family would like to access it, they're eligible. In the event that a family is happy, they need not apply. This is an opportunity to better suit the needs of our community. Please be aware that there will be a great deal of opportunities to receive information so that you can look for schools that best suit the needs of your young people. We definitely preference siblings, so in the event you would like siblings to be present at the same school, they will be. In the event that you would like to be close to home, that is also preferenced. In the event that you believe you need something different for one of your children than you need for the other, you will have that option as well. The power is in the hands of the family, and the power is in the hands of doing what the family would like to do for their child. At this time, I would like to turn the presentation over to meet our statutory requirement regarding the reporting of school safety.